Welcome to Prodigy Sport Adaptations. P.S.A. podcast is an unconventional podcast that challenges the audience to think outside the box using real-life experiences, clever narratives, original quotes, and the creative use of satire in order to break the audience free from negative paradigms and push them towards their own personal growth. This is by no means a method to condemn or bash the audience, but instead encourage and showcase a different perspective that might not have been seen before. P.S.A. is designed to showcase to the listeners that the power of the mind is not a joke, and if a person can learn to control their mind and their thoughts, they will ultimately control their life. This podcast serves as a means of entertainment and educational purposes only, and not a replacement for therapy or any other type of professional help that the audience may desire. All right, y'all, what's going on? Back at it again with another Hot Fire PSA episode, another Zoom episode. I told y'all I was keeping them going. It's all because of the Rona, so I'm going to take advantage of the Rona. I don't know about y'all, but I am. All right, today's episode is a little, well, they all kind of, satirical in a sense, but today's episode is titled, Sorry for 2004. The meme reads, in most cases, there will be some things you regret doing, and even some people you regret giving your energy to. Look at it like this. It was all a part of the divine plan. All right. So the inspiration comes from obviously the Ruben Studdard song. I remember in 2004, I was want to say 8 or 9. I was 9. And I remember singing that song word for word, like my heart was just broken. It was a video on my guest page that I'm resurface that has resurfaced that I like when he talked about regret. And I like that. And it was kind of an inspiration for why I even reached out to him for this topic. And a quote by William J. Clinton that says, if you live long enough, you'll make mistakes. But if you learn from them, you'll be a better person. If it's how you handle adversity and not how it affects you. The main thing is to never quit, never quit, never quit. All right. Mm-hmm. So as you see, my guest, he's just been sitting here jumping out of skin, ready to introduce himself. Can you introduce yourself to the people? Tell them your name and where you're from.
What's up, everybody? My name is Joseph Wilson, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. All right. Nashville in the house. We got Tennessee in the house. I got some friends from Memphis, actually. Okay. So now tell the people about your projects. Anything you got coming up that you're working on right now that you're ready to reveal?
So basically, I have a podcast called the Love Unscripted Podcast where we have unscripted conversations with millennials about relationships and dating. And so me and my wife get on every week and we enjoin another millennial to have very candid and authentic dialogue about different aspects of relationships. And the reason we did that was because we found that everybody is talking about different relationship challenges in their own small circle, but nobody is really sharing what they've learned with other groups. We're still very cliquish. I only share my information, my story with the people that I know. Right. So what we wanted to do was kind of set the example and have a conversation in front of everybody for everyone to see, because what we were finding out, there's a lot of people who have solutions to very common dating problems. Like there are very few situations that are completely unique. Mm-hmm. And if we're able to just have a small conversation about how to get through those, then everybody gets help. So that's pretty much what we're doing. Me and my wife release episodes every Monday. So that's pretty much what we got going on. We're just trying to have healthy conversations about relationships.
Okay, pretty cool. So kind of similar to my show. It's not really relationship based. It's more so just mental health based and getting people to think outside the box. And I use creativity. I use satire. I use personal experiences. I use facts, so statistics, so that I'm not just, seem like I'm just pulling it out of the air, so that right. You can kind of, relate to it that way. So when you hear the phrase sorry for, what comes to mind? No right or wrong answer.
Apology, missed opportunity, missed out, just loss. I think loss is the main thing. Like something was lost. Sorry for, I wasn't able to do. Those are just some of the things that instantly pop up in my mind.
Okay. All right. So when you hear the word regret, what comes to your mind?
Having the opportunity to do something and not doing it.
Okay.
Having a chance to do something and not taking that chance.
Okay.
Having maybe even two options and taking the wrong one.
Right.
So those are some of those, like when I hear regret, it's like something was missed out on, even though I had the opportunity to potentially do something different.
Okay. All right. So now I went ahead and defined regret. It says feel sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has happened or been done. And then it says especially a loss or missed opportunity. So you hit the nail on the head with that. And then I went ahead and defined divine plan. So I went ahead and used Genesis 15:20 because to me I thought that was the best example. It says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but for God meant it for good." So I like that because the main point of this episode, as you see in the meme, is that a lot of time we regret stuff, but it was all a part of the process. And so we'd be like, "Oh, I hated this happened. I hated, I left her. I hated I did this," but it was kind of a part of everything.
Right.
Because I feel like anything that is for you is for you, and I don't believe you truly miss an opportunity. So, but that's just my take on that.
No,
Okay.
that's good.
Yeah, definitely. So tell the people how you got here today, because you didn't just wake up as the marriage and family therapist. So how did you get here today? Why marriage and family therapy? Why not just anything else? Why you get here?
And it's funny that I think this ties into what you said as far as divine plan.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really pushed me into this field was my home situation and upbringing was not the most ideal.
Mm-hmm.
My parents got divorced when I was at a young age, and they continued to get married and continued to get divorces. And that took a toll on kind of how I viewed relationships. And there was one point where I didn't believe healthy relationships were possible, simply because all I have seen my parents do was get married, get divorced, get married, get divorced. So I didn't think it was possible. It was outside my sphere of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until I got into undergrad where I was like, my path initially was going to law school. But I'm not doing, like, that doesn't resonate with me. I'm doing it because I hear they got bank. They make a lot of money.
That's how I felt.
Listen, that's what I want to do. I want to get the bag, secure the bag,
right.
And live happily ever after. But after a while, that just wasn't sitting right with me. And my divine purpose, God moved me into the therapy realm.
Right.
And so I want to do specifically marriage and family because I think altogether, families are created by two people. They're created by two people. And the quality of that family can largely be dependent on the parents. And if the parents can have a good, healthy relationship, then it statistically shows that like the kids can have a healthy upbringing. Not that it always is, but it's more likely. And they'll be able to also form healthy relationships too. So I wanted to be a part of the solution. Like we hear the divorce rate is 50%. Like that is very true. And it's going up with COVID right now because people are having to spend a lot more time with each other than you would normally do. And a lot of stuff is bubbling up. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to be a part of the solution. And when I looked at all the various types of mental health counselors you could be, the one that really resonated with me was the one specifically for marriage and family. And I just wanted to tackle that whole area.
Okay, definitely. It's funny because that's kind of my same background. I come from a divorced family, and then I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I remember getting a job at which was, I know, again, divine plan, because I got a job my senior year at work study. Seniors don't never get work study, and that was my first time getting it. And I got it in law school, and I remember working in there. And I remember one of the girls that was like, I told her I wanted to be a lawyer, and she was like, "Now, do you really just love it?" Because she said, "This is a lot of work." But she was like, "But I really want to do it." And it hit me because I ended up being in school for 4.5 years. So I graduated fall 16. I remember it hit me December 2015. I said, after all the mess, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's just as, but do I regret picking the major I picked? Because my major was in English, because I was actually told by a lawyer that that's a good major to take before going into law school, because it's going to prepare you for law school. And I was naturally a good writer. And it's funny because I majored in that, and I'm teaching now, as of now, but writing is something I've always wanted to do, as far as in many aspects. And there's so many things that I know I'm going to do. So it's just funny how it all worked out that way. So my major wasn't a waste of time, because it would have been terrible if I did major in pre-law and then,
So I got a question. So with that, like, how did you know that wasn't the right thing for you to do? Because there's a lot of times where there's things we need to do, but they're uncomfortable. Like, how are you able to differentiate between this is no divinely I need to go this direction versus that seems a little difficult. I don't want to put that time, that work in to do that.
So first of all, I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me.
Oh,
But
my bad.
but seriously, so with that, that's a good question because for me, it was like I was told to be a lawyer because I like to debate. I was on the debate team for a year, Texas Southern University, Dr. Freeman, who just passed recently. So I was on the debate team for a year. I should have did longer, but I was only for a year. And I was good at debating. I was very argumentative. I was very like my point. And I didn't really like politics, but I was told you'll be good at it. So it was like, and honestly, what I wanted to do at a very young age, I had said entertainment, and I said was specifically some things I wanted to do, and it was kind of shot down. I don't think it was shot down with the intent of, oh, you can't do it. It's just I want you to be more realistic. Of course, my parents were 30 years older than me, so they still are, they're still alive. But so I'm sure they didn't. You see how social media in the world was going to transform to what it is today. People blowing up off of blogs and podcasts and all these different things. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, my dream ain't gonna work, so let me find something that I can do. And I remember getting in there and listening to that girl, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And I had a friend, I was out the other day, and this girl, and she was kind of telling me like how she had did chemical engineering, but she, good at it. She had a job manager. She was making a lot of money, but it's just not what she wanted to do. So that's why I say, do I regret trying to be a lawyer? No, because and then some people went to school and they'd be like, they regret going to school. I said, I don't, because them experiences that I got was needed. The connections I made were needed. Them hard lessons that was gruesome and painful was needed. So for me, I really don't regret nothing. And so if that answers your question.
No, perfect.
Okay, so now tell us about, on your page, you said you help millennials navigate the unpredictable journey of love. So how do you go about that? Is it just go based off of the couple? Like, how do you do it?
No, so I believe that people are individuals first before they get into a relationship. So there are a lot of things that you have to learn and understand about yourself before we try to go join ourselves with somebody else. And what happens a lot of times is if you don't know who you are, what your values are, what you want out of a relationship, why you want to be in a relationship, or where you want the relationship to go, you start having like what they call in business mission drift. Like you just start floating with whoever you're linked up with at the time. So if you get with someone who's very entrepreneurial, but you don't have that, like that's not a part of who you are, but you can't say that, no, I'm not into that. Guess what? All of a sudden you'll be in all these entrepreneurial endeavors and you'll just be floating with that person. Then you'll break up and now you're stuck with, okay, well, what type of person do I need to be now? And when you date somebody else, let's say they want to be a world traveler and build wells. Now you're floating with them, even though you hate build like hard manual labor. You want to dig wells, but you like this person, but you don't have the confidence enough or secure in your own personal identity to say, no, I don't want to do that. Sorry, this relationship isn't for me. So what we do is we teach individuals how to become better versions of themselves so that when they enter a relationship, they do not lose their identity and they can actually double down on who they are and be able to verbally express it. A lot of people don't express what they value, who they are, or what they're looking to get out of a relationship. And I hate the phrase, what's understood doesn't need to be said. No, you gotta say where it is you want to go in life and what type of partner you think will help you get there. Right. Aside from your partner, you're still an individual who has a divine plan, who has a divine purpose, and you're both, if you get with somebody, you're both trying to go, it's almost like you're on parallel journeys going in the same direction, but you have two different paths still. Right. So that's kind of what we do. We give people very practical tools on how to secure, understand who you are, why you want to get in a relationship, and that's kind of how we go about doing that.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Cause see, and it's funny because you touching on everything I be believing in. Because as of now, I'm single. I entertain a few girls, but it's nothing major. As in, it's just kind of. So for me, it's like I get so upset when I hear people say, You know, I hear like little comments made to me sometimes. I guess they digs, I don't know, but they be like, you know, oh, you single, you know, you getting old because I'm 20. I just turned 26 in June. So they like, oh, you getting older, you know, it's, you know, we ain't getting no younger and it's that. And I heard somebody say, well, I'm this age, so I need, and that's the problem. And I was, it was funny because it was like, somebody was like, yeah, you know, it's time to be in a relationship. But I'm like, is it time because of you feel like your age, or do you just, you know, you turn up your face? That's really how people think. And it's unfortunate because they feel like, oh, I'm this age, I need to be in a relationship. But what if you don't want to be in one? What if it's more toxic to get in a relationship, you don't want to be in one, but you feel like you need to be in one, so you ghosting her, or I don't feel like talking today, and you just being, you know, rude, and you don't want to be in one, or you have a cheating problem. So you just cheating, but you in a relationship because you feel like it's time. And I just,
Right. Like, that's crazy because it's okay to not be in a relationship.
right,
Like, you don't have to jump into a relationship just because people think you should or you're getting older. People don't realize there's a whole group of young adults who are out there who would love to just hang out, kick it, and don't need anything serious. As long as it's verbalized that, hey, I don't really want a relationship. You're a cool person. Let's continue to go out, eat, do stuff like that. There are people who are fine with that, but a lot of people aren't comfortable saying, I don't want to be in a relationship. They kind of try to like ease into it, like say, hey, let's go out on a date, but just say, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just out here. I just want companionship. There's a lot of people who are going to go for that and are completely fine or in the same place that you may be, but we don't verbalize it or say it, and we think that there's a negative stigma on that when it's actually more healthy for you to go about your dating and relationship experience that way than to jump into a fully committed relationship and now you feel like you're locked down, you don't have your space, this person isn't really connecting with you the way you thought it would be now that there's set parameters.
right.
So it, like, people don't rush. Like, you don't have to rush to get into it, and like, you don't have to rush. I'm just saying that.
And then my thing is too, it's just like I didn't see people and they relationships. I just be like, it was a picture of, I think it was Mekhi Phifer and I think it was, what movie was he in? It was some movie, I can't think. It might have been Paid in Full, the scene where he was in the car crying. And it was a meme of that. And it said how my homeboys be looking after he said, I be wanting to be in a relationship, but then I see my homeboy looking like this after hanging with his girl. And I be like, if this is love, I don't want it, because arguments and stuff are gonna happen, but y'all always into it. Y'all, it's just always something. Or you get mad and go cheat. And you get mad and just, so it's just like, if that's love, I don't want it.
Like, for real. And there needs to be more positive examples of what healthy relationships look like, especially in our like younger generation. Like, we have social media, so we have this idea of what it may look like, but that's not what real life is.
Right.
And real life does, like you said, arguments are going to be part of a healthy relationship. Not that it happens all the time, but if you have two people who have two different views, and they both are being honest about expressing their differences, that's gonna happen. I'm married, I'm going on 7 years, and we still get into it about certain things. It's not a immature, drag out kind of fight, but it's definitely a contention of points because she has her own values on a particular subject we're talking about, and I have my own, which is completely healthy. But where it becomes toxic is if we're not arguing to hear each other or to make a point, just to be doing it, just to be messy, just to listen. The people that are out there that start arguments just to be starting it because they want to spice it up, y'all just need to go sit down somewhere, because that's not what relationships are about. It's not about trying to spice it up through conflict. Spice it up through going on a vacation or something. I mean, there's plenty other ways, but a lot of our generation don't understand that that can actually enhance and increase a relationship, because in therapy, I'll tell you, a couple that agrees on everything all the time, someone's lying. Someone's lying. Someone is not being honest about what they believe about whatever topic it is.
And then too, it's like in a relationship, I've seen dudes, I know that they're going to regret it down the line, but they'll lock themselves down when they get in a relationship because the girl be tripping about them going out or doing little stuff like that. And even vice versa, girls will be, I'm going to just stay in, but you be wanting to go places and do stuff, but they going to trip. So you just, and then you try to play the role like, oh, I'm not I'm a homebody. Since when? You were never no homebody. Now all of a sudden you a homebody now because you know they're gonna trip if you go somewhere, and then you trying to make it seem like it's you. No, it's them. And then it's like, cause then now I ain't said, but I'm thinking it. Now when if y'all break up, I don't want to say when because that's negative. But if y'all break up, don't be outside again. Remember, you're a homebody.
Right. Stay in the house on Netflix.
Do that since you're a homebody now. What do you think is the most common thing you noticed? And you might have answered it, but when it comes to marriage and family therapy, what is the most like common thing?
That people at some level are all broken, and that in order to get to a place of health and wellness is going to take work. It's going to take some soul searching. It's going to take some uncomfortable conversations and some uncomfortable changing of habits to be able to be at a place of wellness where you can function properly and that you can get to whatever that God-given divine purpose you have. But everybody is on some level broken. And when you know that and you're dealing with other people in the world, you can be a little more sympathetic to people. Not saying you got to let every single thing that people do slide,
Right.
but just the understanding that, okay, the person I'm sitting across from, we built this relationship and they may have hurt me. They may have continued to hurt me, but guess what? They're human and you're human. Nobody's perfect, but being aware that of people's humanity and simultaneously realizing that if you want to get to a place of wellness, it's going to take work on everybody's part. Even when I do family therapy with parents and children, kids, y'all got to contribute something to this process of wellness. And the great thing is that when everybody participates wholeheartedly and gives their best effort, it don't even got to be the same effort as someone else. They just got to give their best effort.
Right.
Situations get better. It just happens. Like things change when everybody involved can look at themselves and say, hey, there's something that I can do to make this situation better, to be more understanding, to understand that people are going to make mistakes and give them a little grace and move forward. You can have some really big turnarounds. And it's not even major changes you got to make. A lot of times it's these small things that you have to do to make a big difference.
Right.
So just my experience is, man, people are human and they're going to mess up. And people that you never thought would mess up on you are going to mess over on you. But the thing is that you can still work through that as long as everybody involved is willing to participate in the process of getting well. So.
Okay. Last question before I move on to another stat. So, and it's just real quick. Do you feel as though regret has kept people from finding themselves?
I think yes, it's going to be yes. And I think the fear of regret is keeping people from finding them true selves. And thinking about regret too much is also, I don't know if that's like the same thing. I'm seeing it as two different things. The fear of regret, the actual event not occurring the way you think or hope or dream, but also, am I going to regret this? Like the thought of being obsessed with regret paralyzes people. So I think it does. Like, I think it can stop people from moving forward because think about it. Like, no matter what option you choose, if you really go down that path, you'll never know what the other option was. Right. So you're almost kind of worrying too much about something that you can never find out. Sometimes you can't go back and take that path over again. You just have to learn from it and be able to make a different decision. I'm not even gonna say better because better makes it seem like you made a bad decision. You just have to make a different decision at this next junction in life where a similar situation may come up. So, yeah.
Okay. Psychology Today says that regret is a negative cognitive or emotional state that involves blaming ourselves for a bad outcome. It says a feeling of loss or sorrow at what might have been or wishing we could undo a previous choice that we made. For young people in particular, regret, although painful to experience, can be helpful. It says the pain of regret can result in refocusing and taking corrective action or pursuing a new path. However, the less opportunity one has to change the situation, the more likely it is to turn into rumination and trigger chronic stress that damages the mind and the body. So kind of basically what you just said, we feel like we didn't pick that other choice. So now we like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? In some cases, if we tie back to relationships, maybe people feel like maybe we got married too fast. Or maybe we got in a relationship too fast. Maybe, maybe we had sex too fast. Maybe we, met each other's families too fast. Anything where people are like, we shouldn't have done that. But the thing is, I want people to understand that even if that happens, it's always a how you say, you can come back from it. Now, certain things you can't come back from, and we'll get to that in a minute, but it's just like, and how about this? I'll ask you, since you the professional, and just yes or no, and I'm gonna ask some questions later about it. Do you feel there is some things in a relationship that you cannot come back from?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I ain't want to. Okay. Now putting you back on the hot seat. Have you ever done something or said something that you regret?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's funny was, for me, for the longest, I regret not forgiving my father earlier for divorcing my mom, even though I didn't understand it or understood what was happening. I held on to that like he was disowning me.
Right.
And so I went a long time still hanging out, still visiting him on the weekends, going for the summers, but I still held that grudge in my heart. And it made me, there was a time where we weren't like talking like we are now. And I feel like I lost a lot of good times. And now that COVID is here, like, I'm like, what if I would have held on to that and he would have died? Like, how do I reconcile me being that angry and that upset for that long and not choosing to forgive after all this time? And after even having conversations about what happened, choosing not to do that, that would have been something that I would have definitely regretted. And that's something that even today, I was like, man, why did I waste that much time being upset when I could have? Now we're inside and we can't really go travel and see nobody. Like, why didn't I spend all that time when I could have been face to face, but I was upset? Right. I spent time being upset and mad and not talking on the phone when I very well could have. I'm not that busy. No one's ever that busy where you can't have a 5-minute conversation. So yeah, that's one of the things for me that's like, yeah, regret that.
Yeah. Okay. This is the thing too. So it's not healthy to spend a whole life in a sense of regret or shame, which is kind of, again, we in sync today. I think that with regret comes shame, because you're like, why I do that? Why I know for me, I've definitely held grudges at points, and some I'm over, some I'm not, but I'm in the process of it. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm gonna just hold on to it. We can't just say, what I don't like is with grudges and regret and stuff like that, we hold on to it and say I'm good and you're not good. So it's good when people say, I got told the other day that I was petty. I mean, I do some petty stuff, but for the most part, I got told I was real petty because, like, if say me and you were friends and we fell out, it's a difference between a fallout and like we're like not cool no more. I unfollow people, and that was told that's petty, but I don't feel like that's petty because for me, it's like I don't want to keep up with what you're doing. I don't want to see your stuff. If I'm dealing with a forgiveness process, I don't want to keep seeing you and keep thinking about what you did. And we live in a society where people try to act like they always good, and y'all not always good. And like, oh, I forgave so-and-so. No, you didn't. Their name come up, you cringe. Like, you see it in your face. You see it in your body language. You're not over it. So stop acting like you over stuff. So that's good that you can be so, transparent about not forgiving your father and how you gotten to the point where you have, because I'm glad that people don't. I have, with me in my situations, that I didn't wait till somebody was about to die or then dead. Now you trying to, be like, why did I waste all that time? That's another beauty of COVID. Unfortunately, people realizing they need to let stuff go. And then, of course, like I said, the Zoom stuff. So say there's a relationship and it has something to do with cheating is the issue and they regret it. Do you think that they can move past that?
So break it down a little, be a little bit more specific.
Okay.
Move past what?
You repeat the question one more time.
So who's trying to move? Are you saying that the person who cheated on their partner is trying to move past it, or the person who got cheated on is trying to move past?
So basically, both. They both in the therapy. They say they in a session with you. All right. So they in a session with you, and the one person they cheated. We'll say because women cheat too, but we'll just say we'll leave whoever cheated. Cheat person A, and then person B. They was the one that was cheated on. So do you think it's first of all, do you think it's different between men and women? So like if the man cheated one thing and the woman cheated something else, so you say
No,
no.
no,
Okay.
no. It's all the same.
Okay. And then my question is, how do you deal with that as far as okay, she want to move on and he cheated and he want to move on too, or vice versa. So how do you move on with both parties? Do you think that they can overcome that?
So here goes back to what I said. You have to know your principles going into marriage. So I'm a very big supporter of telling your partner there are certain things that if we get married and this happens, I'm out.
Okay.
That's like, you have to be able to say, so if infidelity is one of those things that you know that you cannot get past and that happens, go about it, because that's one of your things that you've said is like, I can't recover from this, nor should someone have to be forced to recover from that. But if you say, hey, if it happens, I understand that it happens, I don't like it, but that is something that I am willing to work with you through, then if it happens, now that process of both people being able to recover from that begins. Okay. So it's going to be based on if that man or if that woman said that this is one of my deal breakers, I cannot go forward in a marriage if this happens. It could be someone, if you steal from me, if you lay your hands on our kids in any type of way, you hit me in any kind of way, I'm out. Those, I think, are grounds for people to be able to say, these are my non-negotiables. You have to have a line, and everyone has a line. And we can't act like we don't have those limits. So if this happens and the person knows that this is that thing that you absolutely do not do, then I believe that they're justified because they told you beforehand and they let you know that this is one of those offenses that are so bad that I cannot move forward. And we have to respect people and not hold people hostage in relationships where that happens.
Okay. So again,
with infidelity, it's very tricky. So if someone, it says the person who got cheated on, if they're saying I'm willing to work through it, and so is the other person, then move forward with it. But if this is something that someone's like, this is one of those things, I can't see myself trusting you anymore, then it may be best for them to split ways, because now that has left a wedge between them that for that person who received the cheating cannot move past, and therefore the relationship can't grow. Therefore, forgiveness, true forgiveness, not the, okay, I'm good, I moved past it. Real forgiveness can occur where someone doesn't feel trusted or feel that they can trust you. So in that situation, it's gotta be, okay, what did y'all decide? That's where I put it at. What did y'all decide when y'all were at the altar? Like, what were those things? Because you got to put it in their hand to be able to say, this is what I said. If you said that this was something that you could bounce back from, not saying that people just say, hey, you can cheat on me and I'm good. But if it wasn't mentioned that, okay, if this happens, I can get over this and work through it with you, then you have to figure out what's going to happen next.
Right. And then I ain't gonna even ask the next one. What I was saying, this one was about cheating. The next one was domestic violence. So I ain't even finna get on that one. But
yeah, and I think that those are, like, I think they're very, like, I would personally, this is just me, I know everyone don't feel the same way. I would encourage people to work through everything except for potentially, if they can't handle it, is infidelity. That's one of those things, it's based on the person. I'm not gonna say it's one of those universal things. Domestic violence, no one should ever have to deal with that and get out, run. Sexual and emotional abuse, those are both things that, even if they don't touch you, with emotional abuse, that stuff can get dangerous, like make people want to kill themselves kind of thing. So I would say you don't have to deal with those. Y'all can't figure out how to do finances, work it out. You can't figure out how to raise your kids, work it out. You can't figure out where you want to live or what you guys want to do for your future, work it out. I feel those things can be discussed and worked out. And that's why the divorce rate is so high. A lot of those divorce statistics are not on these abuse, infidelity, emotional or sexual abuse. It's not that. It's disagreements on the number one cause is money. That has nothing to do with our interaction. It's based on a philosophy on how we spend funds and people's attachment or what meaning they give to money. So that's what that's about. It's not about you hit me. It's not about do we love each other. It's something that you think about money, and that's why money is the number one cause for divorce.
Exactly. I got some things that people may regret, and this is from Inc.com, just a few scenarios and examples, because it's not always relationships. It says spend more time with the people they love. We kind of covered that earlier. Worry less. I think that's a good one. Sometimes we spend so much time worrying and stressing about stuff. And again, if you feel that you need to go to a professional, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a firm believer you can grow your relationship with God and therapy as well. If you feel like you need to go to a therapist or something, go do it to help you conquer the anxiety as well. Forgiving more, we touched on that one, so I like that one. This one I thought was good. It says stand up for themselves. Now, I don't know what age it was I found my voice, but when I found it, like you couldn't, like I didn't care about being an outcast. I didn't care about none of that. I'm gonna stand up for what I believe in and what I am myself, and I'm not gonna let nobody, I'm just not gonna let that happen. This one says being more honest, work less, face fears. The last two I really like, cared less about what other people think. Y'all be letting y'all dreams and y'all purposes be delayed because of you caring about what somebody gonna say. And imposter syndrome is on the rise. I'm all for believing in like mental illnesses and things, but a lot of times it ain't imposter syndrome. It's because y'all sit up and bash and critique everybody else stuff, and it was time for you to put out something you scared because you feel like they're gonna do it to you.
Preach. Exactly. That's crazy, especially in this social media age. Like people can get in the comments real quick and they don't care how it makes somebody else feel. Oh, that video's trash. Oh, why your podcast sound like that? But then when it comes time for them to make a decision, they're scared because now they're looking for someone's approval to validate what they're doing versus feeling that, hey, this is what I want to do. And it doesn't matter like who's doing it. I'm sure you can relate in the podcast, like you're trying to figure it out. Not everything is perfect on the jump. And there were times where it sounded like a little staticky for me on these first couple episodes. But just because people said it didn't make me want to just completely stop, nor did I put too much value on their opinion because I know, okay, I'm new, I'm learning, and this is what I know I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to do it.
Right. And that's the crazy thing, because I remember my first few episodes, like if you ever go listen to my first episode, do not tell me, because it just, even thinking about it just give me like real bad anxiety. I don't even have anxiety no more, and it give me real bad anxiety. So I just like, don't even tell me. But it's funny because it was a comment made. I've heard a few comments about people just telling me like, oh, well, you need to be in the studio. And I'll be like, and I have friends that podcast, one dude who got over 80K followers, and his podcast is when he was like, well, I mean, if you're trying to do a visual, shout out to DJ. If you're trying to do a visual, okay. I said, well, I do visuals at my house now, as you see. And he was like, got the background. And he said, well, I mean, you don't need to go to a studio. Your sound quality is good. So that's one of those myths that people think like, oh, you need to go to the studio. Not really, because it's people that make millions of dollars in their house. They get them the right mic. They get them the right equipment to call them today. And it's funny because I could regret putting out my podcast. And it was a comment made. I don't know who made it. It was anonymous. Clearly, it's on Apple. If you go search it, you'll find it. And somebody was like, the podcast is something, they said, and they was like, and I don't like the sound quality. So I said, heard you. So it was around, this is now season 4. Season 3, the first 3 episodes sounded away. After the 3rd episode of season 3 was season 4, I found a way to fix the quality on Audacity. If you don't use Audacity, for people using podcasts, do it. It's a good one. I used Audacity, learn how to tweak the quality. When I tell you them episode 3 of season 3 and episode 4 sound like I'm in 2 totally different places. And then from there on, it's just been the same quality since. And I record in my house. And so it's just funny because I don't regret, having bad quality, because I needed somebody to say that. I'm happy. I was no shame attached to me starting off at the bottom, because if you start at the bottom, You can't go nowhere but up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I love, it says living in the moment. I feel like a lot of people don't live in the moment. I definitely do that.
You have to live right here, right now. You can't go automatically try to go create a moment. You got to just be present now, because people can't go on vacations. You can't just be out in public like we normally would, or go hang out, because there's a popular like little game place. I used to love to just go and play board games, card games with people, but you can't do that anymore. Now, where you're at here, are you going to be upset that we're at this point? Are you going to miss out on every daily opportunity you have to live because you can't go out doing what you wish you could do?
Right.
Like, living in the moment is big. And I think that's another thing when you tie it into regret, like not taking advantage of all these days that we have. Like they say, I'm sorry to keep going back to relationships. They say relationships are either getting stronger or getting weaker because of quarantine, because the ones that are getting better, they're taking today as today. Mm-hmm. What can we learn about each other today? What do I know about you today that I didn't know previously? Now that we're actually at home, yo, you like spaghetti with this in it? Oh, well, let's do that. Like, you have to live in a moment. And a lot of people, like you said, regret not doing that, because what do they say at the nursing homes? Everyone is always like, man, I wish I had. That's the most common phrase in the nursing home. Man, I wish I had, I wish I had, I wish I had. And I don't want people to be, I wish I had.
Right. That's definitely how I feel. And it started around, like I said, I'm 26 now. The second half of me being 23 is when I started to really live in the moment and stop, oh, what is it? Nope, I just do it. All right, so researcher Neil Rose of Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University is a leader in the field of regret research. It says saying it with the highest rate of list of negative emotions and fulfilling 5 functions. So the question was, is there any value in regret? And I definitely say yes, because it's not always bad. The 5 functions he came up with, he said making sense of the world, avoiding future negative behaviors, gaining insight, achieving social harmony, and improving ability to approach desired opportunities. So again, if you say, okay, maybe this one time, and it's just a small example, but you go to a restaurant, you get the salad, but you wanted the burger. You're like, man, next time I should have got the burger. So, next time you go get the burger. Or if you making sense of the world, like everybody's going to make mistakes, it's just how it goes. So it's just like for me with the whole regret thing, I just want people to be freed from the mindset of feeling like, oh, I wish I didn't do that, because guess what? It was meant to happen. So if it didn't happen like this, that same situation still would have happened in another way. That's just how I feel.
And the information, like you said, the information that you gain from actually making a decision, like what they say, paralysis by analysis. There's some people who don't make any decisions because they're like, man, will I regret it? Will I regret it? Well, if you do one, now you have an experience and you have information to actually run through in your brain to determine whether or not you need to make that decision again. So it's helpful in that way for sure.
Right. So as always, I have a section or a segment on my podcast. We come to a close. I got 2 more. So the second to last one is any tips and scenarios for the college student. So as an HBCU grad myself, and I'm sure obviously you graduated from college.
PSU.
Yeah. Where you went to Tennessee?
Tennessee State.
Oh, you went to the fake TSU. Okay.
Oh. We gotta keep the love going. We gotta keep the love.
You know what? You're right. We got to. And my cousin went to that TSU too, so we gotta keep the love going for real. But I definitely say college is a time of regrets. You should go in there being like, this is an experiment, because that's really how I felt. I felt like Texas Southern University was a experiment. I feel like we were some rats in a maze, and they just let us go and say, figure it out. And although it was good, because I tell people, and it's funny because the last 2 Zoom guests I had HBCU grads. So it's funny because it's just like, that wasn't even on purpose. It just happened that way. Divine plan. So it's just funny because it's like, if they didn't teach us nothing else, they taught us how to hustle. And I say that all the time. Like, they teach you how to go get it in this world. And that's something I definitely, feel as though. And then I tell people another suggestion I got for any college students. I don't have that many today. But if you find yourself struggling with, regret, and you just beating yourself up about it, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, therapy is free through your college tuition. So go to your therapist, please.
Yes.
And if you have any other tips for the college students, or
get active, Get active, because once you leave college, it's a very small representation of the larger world. And as we see in college, the people who get the most out of the experience are the most active. The people who go to the meetings, the presentations, the seminars, you have to be active and able to get the ball rolling in whatever career you're going into. You can't just sit back and get into law school. You actually have to study for the LSAT, and you have to get letters of recommendation from people that you interned with. So you actually have to be out there and moving. Don't let college just be a passive experience. Don't just go to class. You have to get out. Listen, go to a party to determine whether or not you even like that kind of lifestyle. Go to a debate. Go to student council, those SGA functions that they have on every campus, just to see, like, let someone buy your vote. Like, go out there and, like, be active, because the more active you are, the more, like, energy you can put into the real world once you get out there. Because once you get out there, nobody, like, is going to help you. No one's going to walk you through it. There's no academic advisor to tell you where you should be applying or how to get credits for a new job or anything like that. It's on you. So practice being active while you're in college.
Right. And before we move on, I'm sure we both can agree. It's some stuff I did a lot that I wanted to do, but looking back, it's some stuff I wish I would have did a little more of, even though I did a lot. So don't be that person. If you're in college now, like, if you want to do it, do it. Now, unless it's like, you know, something negative, like, you know, stealing or something crazy like that. No. But I mean, as long as it's like, if you want to, like you said, join that club, if you want to holler at that girl or the ladies you want to holler at, that do, go do it. The worst they can say is no.
Do the poetry. Now, HBCUs are famous for having poetry. Like, go to an art thing. Like, they got all those things on campus. Like, try it. Just put yourself out there, because you never know who you're going to encounter and what is going to click, because you're still finding yourself in college. You're still trying to figure out how many people change their majors. My major was criminal justice at first, and then it went to psychology, but it wasn't until I was on campus enough and talking to people and going to different presentations and seminars to even know that there's this thing called mental health field, and you can literally sit there and talk to people and get paid. Like, what? Okay, let me do that. Right. So just get out there and try it.
Right. All right, so in and off, as always, when I have a guest, I love to play game time. All right, so it's kind of like my way to test the guest as far as kind of reviewing what we went over today so that we can kind of see where your head is at. All right, today's game is play no regrets. I want you to tell me whether or not, if you was in a situation, would you regret it, or would you be like, I have no regrets doing that? All right?
All right.
So the first one, coming out the gate with the BS. Cheated on your wife. Do you regret it or no regrets?
Oh, definitely regret that.
All right. Got kicked out of your house at a young age for doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing.
Definitely will regret that.
All right. Got caught up with the wrong people and realized that they weren't your friends.
I wouldn't regret that. What was the other one again? My bad.
You was right. Got caught up with the wrong people and realized they wasn't your friends.
Yeah, I'm not going to regret that.
Yeah, I don't regret that because you need to see how people are.
Right.
I know my answer to this, but it says drinking and driving during prom night, living life on the edge. I know my answer.
Oh, no regrets. No regrets.
Look, you didn't get in trouble. You ain't dead. You good.
I made it out. Definitely.
Not taking vitamins or drinking water.
Oh, no regrets. No regrets. I mean, I'm not doing vitamin stuff like that.
All right, last one. Investing money into therapy with Love Unscripted and cover many things about your past with an effort to overcome them.
No regrets on that, because you're going to come out better.
Right. Shameless plug. We love to see it. So anything you got to say before we dip today?
No, just don't let regret be that ball and chain that's stuck with you for the rest of your life. At some point, you have to unlock yourself from that chain, that ball that's heavy and just weighs you down, and move forward. Because once you let go of that regret, you'll actually find that you are moving faster and going further than you would carrying a 30-pound weight on your ankle. So just don't live in regret. Use it as a tool to inform your next move, but don't let it be the one thing that weighs you down.
All right, definitely. And then of course we didn't encourage a paradigm shift today. And of course, as always, we love to see that. So question or challenge as we leave out. This is for my audience to do, and they answer it so they can win gift cards and stuff. And if you want to answer too, you can, I don't care. But you can do it on later, as of course, when the episode drops. So it says, have you suffered from regret? If so, tell me what it was and how you plan to overcome it in the near future. So I'm making you get over it. All right. So I want to thank my guest, Joseph Wilson, for pulling up on me. Well, signing in today because we on Zoom. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you.